for a businessman to create jobs for the youth of this country. Come on, we are not going to listen to rhetorics. We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life.
The NP has a job to do in government. I shall win power and continue with that job. I shall focus on jobs, food security, and infrastructure. For security, you know that's my turf. Today, having now submitted my form to run as flag bearer of the MPP, it effectively means that I have submitted my declaration for unity.
Let's have a proper debate. Let's elevate the discourse. You know, that's what is important. The Ghanaian people, they deserve to know our views on major national issues. The party delegates deserve to know. So this is not a popularity contest. You understand? So they need to test our views on major issues.
I am offering myself to be elected as flag bearer because I believe we owe a duty to this party to give her a choice to put forward the most prepared candidate for the 2028 election and the most prepared person to be president in 2029. In the last 16 years, I've had the privilege of joining each and every constituency at least 5 times to work hard on the ground and campaign and work for the MPP.
All right. So, as you know, the NPP
are looking for a businessman to create jobs for the youth of this country. Come on, we are no more going to listen to rhetorics. We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life.
The NPP has a job to do in government. I shall win power and continue with that job. I shall focus on jobs, food security, and infrastructure. For security, you know that's my turf. Today, having now submitted my form to run as flag bearer of the MPP, it effectively means that I have submitted my declaration for unity.
Let's have a proper debate. Let's elevate the discourse. You know, that's what is important. The Ghanaian people, they deserve to know our views on major national issues. The party delegates deserve to know. So this is not a popularity contest. You understand? So they need to test our views on major issues.
I am offering myself to be elected as flag bearer because I believe we owe a duty to this party to give her a choice to put forward the most prepared candidate for the 2028 election and the most prepared person to be president in 2029. In the last 16 years, I've had the privilege of joining each and every constituency at least 5 times to work hard on the ground and campaign and work for the MPP.
All right. So, as you know, the NPP has some 150 plus days to the presidential primaries. Kwabena Eje Japong, Kene Japong, Brian Champong, Dr. Baumia, Dr. Osei Educhum are those that we know have filed their nominations for this contest, right? And we're trying to assess the 5 individuals who looks more presidential and promising for the party. Right, so on this one, if on this one, I will better your discretion. Hassan says he wants to speak last. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we begin with you, Suleimana.
Well, Samson, I think it's a very interesting contest. Of course, as a country, we do have 2 main political parties, the MPP and the NDC. At this stage, I think we're literally running a 2-party democracy. And so it is important that at every stage, we do have people who can be a good material for our presidency. And so as the MPP is going into the primaries, I think it is not just about electing a flag bearer for the party. It is also about electing who potentially can become president of our nation. And so it's not just looking at the possibility of winning the primaries or the flag bearership race, but it's also about the possibility of winning to become president of our republic. These are fantastic 5 men. I think that they each have some unique qualifications. Constitutionally, they are all qualified. It comes down to maybe assessing them on their own personal track records and all of that. So if you take Kobne Japon, Japon 63-year-old engineer, from the Ashanti region, from Infansipim School to KNUST. So he certainly would be connecting with some of the big people in this country, given his background. He is certainly a true party person, and I believe that if you want to look at the track record of involvement within party activities, perhaps Kwabena is ahead of all of them. Even though Dr. Bawumia has run as running mate for a number of times. You look at Kwabena's record in terms of his campaign involvement in the Adubuahin times, all the way through to President to
Welcome to Trending GH Celebs. On this live, we're just going to discuss who is the most qualified candidate for the NPP in 2028. Do all to like the video, write a comment. If you haven't joined the family yet, please subscribe. Let's continue with the video.
President Kufuor. He served as presidential press secretary. That should give him some indication about the intricacies of the workings of the presidency. I think that many see him as a straight talker and a doer. He's played leadership role in the party one-time general secretary, even though I think that he was unfairly removed at the time. The other thing that goes for him is that because he hasn't held ministerial roles and all of that, I think he skips that burden of the corruption issues that often will come with having played a ministerial role or something like that. And he's been contesting for this position since 2007. So he's giving an indication that this is a position that he has an eye for a long time now, and certainly he's a good communicator.
Except he doesn't have money.
Yes, of course, except he doesn't have money. I think that is one of the downside of him, that he's not as endowed as the other contenders. And then, of course, he doesn't have ministerial or parliamentary experience. So when it comes to real governance, we can say that he doesn't have that experience. And it's difficult to know what is his base within the party. I know he's from the Ashanti region. I don't even know which constituency in the Ashanti region he comes from. So what is his base in the party? I think that is a difficult one. And I think at this stage, he's not known to be backed by any of the bigwigs in the party. I think the only person that I've seen speak who is publicly known is, I think, Ofosu Asamoah, the former, former candidate and former fair wages and salaries.
For the 2 times he has contested,
National Labour
for the 2 times he has contested this slot, he couldn't manage 1%.
It is true, but that doesn't still take away the fact that in terms of name recognition, you know, having put himself up there and being in the race, at least in terms of name recognition, being known by the party people, you can't take that away.
He would do better if he had money?
Well, I think people see him as a very, very viable candidate. There are so many people who think that he would have been a better running mate to Dr. Bawumia in the 2024 elections, for example. So
maybe he should have been a minister in one of the regimes. Because when you become minister, he could have made money. He could have set up businesses.
So you don't say that.
He could have set up businesses, and then he would have become. He would have had money. Yeah.
Well, so
some are very rich. We know some who had nothing.
Yes.
And got into their position, and then the next time they had such a war chest.
Yeah, but that could also come with a risk of, you know, having a problem with corruption scandal following you. That becomes a negative for you. But that takes me to Honorable Kenneth Japon, you know, who is 65 now from Ascendon Pim, you know, and he's always touted his village, and he has 24 years parliamentary experience, and that's very significant, even if he hasn't held a ministerial role before. To be in parliament for 24 years is quite significant. Chaired committees, you know, served as ranking on a number of committees, and
he held the constituency down literally with his own purse.
Yes, and in terms of what goes for him, in terms of the positives for Kenneth Japon, I would say that he has the name recognition. I think in Ghana, a lot of people, any politically active person would have heard about him. The other thing is that he is recognized in the party as somebody who has made significant contributions, financially, campaign-wise, and all of that, even though now there are questions about how he puts that out. And people saying that you overflaunt your contributions to the party. But there was a time when people would tell you that, hey, without Ken's support, the party is going to suffer. So I think that is something that
they don't only say he overflaunts it. They say, but where did you get the money?
Yeah, well,
so it is party that made you rich. So if you are giving us, stop talking.
Well, but
the last time he tried it, he got 37%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I think he's also seen as a no-nonsense person, straight talker. He speaks his mind, and we are at a point in this country where, especially among the youth, they feel we need discipline in society. We need somebody who can bulldoze his way through. You know, people would say, "Oh, that is what Trump and the other right-wing leaders in some countries use to catapult themselves into power." People talk about where he made his money, but I don't think anyone has said Ken is corrupt. He did this or he did that. There are question marks about, okay, how did he make his money and all of that, but he doesn't have that baggage. He seemed to be a self-made person, and I think he has a strong point when he says, I employ 9,000 people as an individual. And so when I say I'll create jobs, I mean it because I know how to do it. Those who say they'll create jobs, how many jobs have they created? I think that is a very strong point. And then he has a media group that is not too weak. And I believe that in a campaign like this, the media certainly would be helping, and he speaks quite well. I think on the downside, his past behaviors of reckless talk is something that will continue to haunt him. I don't know whether in those times he never contemplated one day wanting to seek to become president, but he got himself involved in certain debates and certain actions that I think that were not positive. People for Jimmy, and all of that, getting into debate with some social media folks and direct insults and all of that. I think people would say that he would have temperament and emotional intelligence issues. Even though over the period since he put himself up, I think there has been some changes in the way he manages himself. And he may not also be having the overwhelming influence in the central region now as he used to have. I think those days, Ken was like a kingmaker in the central region. And that's no longer the situation. In terms of who backs him, at this stage, I think I only know of Honorable Sticker from Ishiaeso, and then I think Honorable Kwaku Kwatin is also backing him. So he also doesn't have that much big names backing him. Brian, 52 now, so very.
Let's say backing him publicly. You may not know those who back him but don't want to show face.
Exactly.
Right. You go to Brian.
Yeah. So Brian, 52. So amongst them, the youngest, very youthful, well endowed,
very wealthy.
Yes, very wealthy. 9 years parliamentary experience now. He did Achimota Primary, went to Presec, US trained, now has PhD from Legon. So in terms of schoolmates and others, I think you would have big guys.
He's pursuing another PhD or so somewhere.
Right, big guys out there. So as you said, his main strength, I think, is his purse. The size of his purse. I think he's quite well endowed from his IT businesses.
He has organizational abilities.
Of course.
He's able to single-handedly bring a whole region to bear to the party's
And that's
fortunes.
That's the point I was going to make in terms of the strength he has in the Eastern region. I think he is now what Ken used to be in the Central region in terms of being seen as the Eastern regional, kingmaker, which is a strong point for him. Strong academic qualification, youthful. At some point, he is perceived to be an Akufo-Addo backer, as having the support of President Akufo-Addo. Whether that will be a strength or otherwise, we are yet to see, but people perceive him to be. But on the downside, I think he has a negative profile when it comes to his security, the way he gets himself involved in security matters. I mean, if you remember, Justice Short's commission's report recommended that he should be reprimanded for being the ultimate, carrying the ultimate responsibility of what happened at Ayawaso, West Wogon. I don't think that was a positive thing for him. And then, of course, his attempt to buy the state property raises a big question. Do you want somebody like this to become your president? What happens if he becomes president, where he can single-handedly decide what he wants to do in a country where the president is so powerful? So I think that is something that would be a big blow. And people would ask, do we want to go back-to-back Eastern region? After Akufo-Addo from Eastern region, do we want to go back to the Eastern region? That's a question that will be on the minds of people. And I wonder if there are well-known, clear policy positions that we can attribute to Brian. That Brian is known for this or for that in terms of policy.
Yeah, he's advancing them if you listen to him. And I asked him if he was pitching to become the most, unavoidable person to become vice presidential running mate. And he said, never. I'm going for the real thing.
Yeah, so I think as I said, they are all qualified. He has his positives, and I think there are other sides that we have to look. Osei Adichum, and now he is in his 9th year as an MP.
When they lost elections, I said that if there was one person that Mahama would want to use from the NPP, it should be him for the education ministry.
Well, I have a different view though. I think for his positives is essentially the fact that he comes from the biggest region in terms of support base for the NPP, which is quite good.
He's a hands-on leader.
Maybe we would talk about.
And he appears to have great ideas. He decided that in his constituency, he's going to nurture doctors and engineers, a certain number of them, and he started it, and it's working. He's just producing them.
That's fantastic, Samson. But I think you heard that when my good friend Honorable Murtala passed away, there were about over 40 students in medical school that he was
paying for.
Perhaps it's about what you know that what others are doing. And of course, he's been a former minister, as I said. But I think Adichum was celebrated as deputy minister and was disappointing when he became minister of education. And that's evident in a number of ways in terms of how the free SHS policy was being run. I think there was a whole euphoria. So people did not get the opportunity to look into the details of what was happening within the system. And if you got the opportunity to know what was happening in the system, you realize that things were not going so well.
Okay.
So in terms of name recognition, it's not as much as others. As I said, issue, all of that.
They've made that public?
It's ongoing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this is not a secret. Okay. I think there are a number of things that are ongoing. The last time I was here, I was with Japamesa, who said he's representing him as a lawyer on.
Was that not Napo? He had gone to represent Napo or somebody.
I have to check that, but I know that there are certain issues that are also being investigated under the tenure of Mr. Educhum, and that's my position on Honorable Educhum. And the last person is Bawumia, also not too old, just 62 now. As we know, economist from Walwali, served as a former deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, running mates, for 3 times. On the 3rd occasion, becoming the vice president for 8 years. UK trained, Canada trained, and so certainly he has good contacts in terms of secondary school. I think it's Tamale Secondary School, so he's also she should have some connections there. Yes, among the candidates, obviously he's the most marketed and well known across the country. Experienced in governance, having served as vice president for 8 years, seemed to be quite smart and articulate. There's no question about that. And then I think that he falls in line with what is historical. Apart from Rawlings, nobody has become president without contesting for a number of times. Whether it is President Kufuor did 96 before winning 2000, John Mills did 2000, 2004 before winning 2008, Akufo-Addo did 2012 before winning 2016, and John Mahama, of course, was vice president, but even so had to do in 2012, 2016, 2020 before winning in 2024, and Bawumia has that as well. And of course, people would say maybe it shouldn't come up, but among the 5 is you have Kwabena Japan, Educhum coming from the same region, Kenneth Japan from a different region, and he also comes from, let me say the northeast region, but you can say from the north. I think on the downside of Bawumia is, first of all, the performance of the last election, and I think that is 2 things. One is, for me, the very terrible performance of the Akufo-Addo regime. I think that it was, in my view, one of the worst since I became politically active.
That's a question I asked. Was that election outcome a verdict on the administration or of Bawumia? Is there a candidate that the MPP could have put up that would have won 2024?
I think that, so I said 2 things. One is that, as I said, the Akufo-Addo regime was a very terrible regime, very corrupt. I'm sorry, my friend is here, as deputy.
He will take his stand. Don't invite him. He will take his stand.
If he wants me to prove, I'll prove with instances at his own ministry where he served as deputy. When I say, the regime was very corrupt, and on all fronts, I don't think that it was good. That was one downside for Bawumia. The other downside for him, personally, was that, he had said a lot of things. He had made a lot of pronouncements, and then when he became candidate, many of it were used against him. Economic management team leader, and how he, the best economic management team, Honorable Yaosafuma, for da. Then you are the manager of the economy, or you are an economist. And one of the lowest points for the government was the economy. Haircuts, the bonds that had been taken,
so that brings me back to my question. I want, and at the end, I'm asking all of you to say something about that. That was the 2024 election a verdict on Dr. Bawumia or a vote of no confidence in the NPP? Can you look into the circumstance and say the NPP could have presented someone else who would have won that election?
I don't think that the NPP stood a chance of winning that election with anyone, because first of all, this 8-year term, it was up. And secondly, as I've said, if you look at the Kufuor performance when Kufuor was exiting, that is perhaps why Akufo-Addo was able to get the runoff, even leading in the first round and then losing in the runoff. But the situation is not the same. Governance was at the lowest ebb, the economy was in dire straits, and people were fed up. A president who was not listening, and so on and so forth. But I said that we cannot just blame everything also on the performance of the president and the government. And of course, the other thing is that it's difficult to extricate himself from what you call the Akufo-Addo performance, because he was vice president. If he was minister, that would be different. But he was vice president, the second most powerful person in the country.
So he was part of it.
So we cannot take that out. And maybe to finish off, I think many friends in the MPP had the hope that one of the strongest points for Dr. Bawumia was the fact that he was going to battle it out with John Mahama in the north. The south, the MPP is very strong. So if you have somebody who is proven to be strong in the north, then that was going to be very good. Unfortunately, again, even in the north, the performance wasn't good. If you look at the presidential, there was a difference of over 700,000 between John Mahama and Dr. Bawumia. You look at parliamentary, out of 57 seats, the MPP got only 10. So certainly...
Who's your money on going into the primaries, if you would stick your neck out?
Maybe I shouldn't, also because of what I do, so that the next time I'm saying something, someone says, oh, he already said this or that.
Out of the 5, the lot, is it obvious for you that it is between 2 persons or 3? Who would they be?
Look, to be honest, I think that if you ask me, I would say Dr. Bawumia is going to win. Because, look, party executives, appointees, 80% of parliamentarians, former DCEs, former candidates, and so on, have all indicated openly that they are for Bawumia. So if one is to base on those things, you would say Bawumia certainly is going to win. But Ken can also spring up a surprise. And Brian with his money, 2 weeks ago I hear he camped all former parliamentary candidates at his hotel in the Kwewu area, and that's where he keeps the delegates, engages with them and all of that. And money can do quite a lot. As I said, he's quite youthful.
Yeah, so
and all of that. So
age also goes for him.
Exactly.
All right,
exactly.
Thank you. And gentlemen, don't ask me to give you the same time as Sulemana.
Except me.
It is because of the way he went about it that I decided that we should hear him deal with all the candidates.
So it's fair.
Yes, so let's have you also. Yes, of course. Rashid Tanko.
You see, MPP, they are not learning from their past mistakes. These 5 candidates, 4 of them, their eye is not on the 2028. Their eye is fixed on 2032. And I'll give you reasons why. They already have an established candidate. The group that sat at Alisa Hotel and drew this strategy, top-down approach, that we are going to elect presidential candidate first before we now think of reorganizing the party, knew what they were doing. Because they already have an established album, which was designed purposely for Alhaji Bawumia. That established album is there. So Ken raised issues about it long since. So that group, the Alisa Hotel group, knew what they were doing.
You mean National Council?
But that's where they met.
That's not a group. It's an organ of the party, National Council.
And I'm saying that per your constitution, council, you know it. What you are trying to do, you are rewriting the whole political landscape of Ghana, the way we organize our elections, top down. Nobody has done it before, 1992 up to now. We've done it.
You said they are looking for into 2032. Who are these?
The 4 others. Because they know this election that they are going for January, none of them is going to beat the established candidate. But if they don't come out and market themselves now, because they know the 2028 MPP will lose again. They will lose massively. Because the NDC is well prepared. Look, this body camera strategy, they don't know the meaning, and we are not going to tell them. My boss handed it to me before he left. We will beat them hands down again in 2028. And they will not understand how we beat them in 2024. Up to now, they still don't understand. And that strategy is still there.
They understand. The economy was battered.
It wasn't only the
Ghanaians
economy.
were angry.
People
had lost their pension money.
Good. Look, there are other things with body cam. Chief.
And Ghanaians are watching what you guys will do. All the promises you made.
MPP told us, in the face of all this, that they were going to win the elections. I don't know what they were saying. That they would beat the NDC with a strategy. Their spokesman said it. That they were going to beat it with a strategy. And we said, well, let's wait and see. Now, I'm saying that 3 items came out in this their contest. 1, monocracy. Very dangerous to our political body. We thought we were crying foul about people spraying money and trying to elbow people who don't have those money bags to go into politics. And I'm sure because of monocracy, a lot of fine brains in the country don't want to go into politics because they don't have the money. Now imagine one of the candidates saying he can pay as much as $1,500 to each delegate. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So you see that people will think that being a politician is a lucrative business. And therefore, as soon as you get into political power, you are good to go. That is a problem we are now fighting with. Monocracy. They are going to sprinkle money and spread it all over the place.
In the NDC, you don't give money to delegates.
In the NDC, we don't go that path. We are social democrats.
Are you sure?
No. You see, what was is the transportation thing that was...
But they also call it transportation. You gave all of you call it transportation.
You see,
1,000 cities.
You see, there's a difference between transporting people and just putting fat envelopes. That one is the difference. MPP go in for fat envelopes. You go in there and they passing it with all currencies.
so that even when they meet people, Dr. Hansen, even when they hold meetings with people in their own compound, in their own homes, they still give them transportation.
You see, that's the issue of the monocracy. The second one is about ethnicity. It's not good for us in this country. Let's look at the candidates, what they are bringing on the table, not where they are coming from. No, it's not good. They've started, some of them have started attacking the established candidate, where he's coming from. He couldn't bring the votes because the people rejected. Is it the first time an established candidate like that in Ghana, from his background, was not voted? I can give an example, several. We brought Professor Mills from Central Region, a very big political landscape. In 2000 election, he lost. In 2004, his people did not vote for him. His background, they didn't vote for him. 2004 election. I was then the director of election in Northern Sector. We didn't stop it, we repeated him in 2008. They voted massively for him. So let's stop this ethnicity thing and look at the strength of the person. Before, otherwise, the thing we are doing now, are we trying to say anybody coming up from the north cannot be a president in Ghana under MPP? This kind of thing that they are doing, they are making their party look unattractive to the northerners. These are the things we tell them, and then they will say that we are attacking them. And say, because when you begin like this internally and you are criticizing the man and saying that because of this, you say you are bringing voters from your north, you didn't bring them, and we did this, where I brought everybody in my region, you didn't bring everybody in your region. Eastern region, I can tell you, it was nearly 50-50 in Eastern region.
40,000 votes.
You see,
difference.
It was nearly 50-50. So if somebody should use that one, I don't know, the MPP propaganda, they should come for consultation, we'll tell them. And they will understand how to counter some of these things they are doing there. It's not good for them. Then the last one is religion. Religion. We told them they refuse. 2024, we're in the forefront, hey, stop this religious thing that you are bringing. We are not fighting in Ghana. Religion is not an issue in this country. But they hype it. Now it's coming to hit them again. Because they are saying that all the Muslim community, the Zongo people voted against Alhaji Bawumia, and therefore that thing didn't do, so we shouldn't repeat him again. See, they are bringing back that thing again. And we warn them, we as a political party, NDC, we warn them, stop it, it's not good. Let's not go that path. That issue of a Christian-Muslim thing, it doesn't help. Let's stop it. Let's look at the competence of the people who are coming to.
I think both of you as parties, you are guilty of this.
No, but we have already done it severally, and people have seen that we don't go that path.
Okay.
Like you go and bring NDC presidential candidate, parliamentary, the
NDC's position is that regardless of which of the 5 that is chosen, you beat them.
No. For them, I am saying that they themselves have agreed, and they know that 2028 election is a foregone conclusion. NDC is going to win again. So let's focus 2032, but let's market ourselves now. Because they will bring Alhaji Bawumia. He's going to win.
I see.
And we'll beat him again.
Okay.
Because we know how to beat him.
Okay.
So, and then we'll come on 2032.
Yes, Dr. Hansen.
Yes. You know, the first question you asked, my answer to that is very simple. The outcome of the last elections was a clear vote of no confidence in the previous administration. Look, if you look at the catastrophic outcome for the party from the presidential end as well as the parliamentary, you could see that this was a total rejection of what the people had experienced the last 4 years. I believe that the first 4 years of President Akufo-Addo was relatively good. But the last 4 years, there were issues. And we all saw what was happening in this country. So clearly, Dr. Bawumia as a person then had probably 2 challenges. The party's overall performance, which was being looked at by the voter population, because some had actually written off the party and its governance. It was just a question of time. You speak to people. I knew people who were, I would say, neutrals. They want to vote either way, depending on
hurry for elections to come.
I know people who campaign
because the party had become, the government had become tone deaf.
Yes,
they wouldn't listen to anything.
Clearly, the entire government's output had actually become a stumbling block for Bawumia as a person. Of course, he was also part of that governance.
Correct.
So you can't dissociate him from whatever happened. And then the overall effect was that the masses themselves economically were not in any better shape. The hope that the party had given them through their campaign promises and all of it basically had become a mirage for most people. So they were really determined. I don't think NDC worked extremely hard to beat the MPP. The MPP probably was down before the whole election started. And the evidence is in what they themselves said. You hear Miracles and his team saying that, look, at some point they knew that if the elections had been held 6 months earlier, they would have lost. However, they were pushing, and at some point towards the end, they were quite confident that they had overturned, that hurdle that was before them. Of course, the final outcome was there for all of us to see. So clearly, it tells all of us that they themselves knew that, look, a chunk of the population couldn't wait to get the party out. Now, of the five, I think that Ken and Bawumia have a certain historical advantage. Reason is that it is the same album, the same set of delegates, and these guys already have some connection or some favor depending on how you want to look at things. It was the same people they worked with in terms of wanting to get their votes and what have you. I don't think that the loyalty towards them would have shrunk completely all of a sudden within this short period. And then looking at the time span between now and January, we are talking about barely 3-4 months. The other 3 will have to work extremely hard to overcome that historical advantage, as I put it, and actually surpass them and become the overall, presidential candidate going into the next election. So I see this contest as one that will be very interesting to watch. There are some new entrants in there. They have their own, sets of competences, as Brahma has outlined for all of them. And I think that the overall outcome will be such that the party itself will be forced to accept that this is where we are. And once that happens, the rest will be up to them to see how far they can go and push for that candidate to become the president.
Okay. Sule, so this is for your attention. The Educhum campaign is saying that he's not under any investigation by any entity. The Marset issue was not under his tenure, and so they want a retraction for that incorrect reference.
Well, as far as I know, there are issues with the. They talk about the Marset, but I wish they would add maybe the free Wi-Fi and all of that. I'll do checks, but in the event that it is not correct, I retract that and apologize. But if it turns out to be the case too, I would have to put it out. That was correct.
Okay, that's why I actually asked you if it was public, because I hadn't heard about that yet. Okay, Hassan, you decided to carry a veto on this panel that you speak last. All right, so let's hear you. This is your party.
Thank you.
People say you are self-destructing. What you are doing now, you are just worsening your case going into the elections as you begin to pull each other down.
I wish I was not on this panel to speak on the matter, but somehow I find myself here, so I have
this
to
is
speak.
not official party social media handle.
And so this is
you
not,
don't commit any wrong.
When I speak, I don't speak on behalf of the party. It's just my individual.
I know.
views.
I know.
So yes, I think I associate myself with some of the assessment that has been made by my father, Mr. Suleiman Abrema, when he did the tale of the tapes as far as the 5 aspiring candidates is concerned.
Quickly explain so people can understand where we are coming from. When you say father, what do you mean?
Oh, so he bears my father's name.
Okay.
Yes, my father's name is Suleimana.
Okay.
So I can't mention his name directly except to.
Okay. I thought it was deeper than that. Because there are 2 of you that I'm seeing. I can't see how Suleimana is your father.
So he bears my father's name.
But we call many people fathers. So
yes. If I can go through the same way that he did. So we'll start with
no, we can't do that.
No, if you allow me, I'll just do a few. I will say some of the things that he has already alluded to. We'll start with probably Asin Bill Gates, the Honorable Kennedy Akumprenko Japan, long-standing member and leader of the party, especially the Central region, and he's supported a lot of, candidates in different parts of the country at various times, supported party generally. And I think that his credentials, as far as those are concerned, are very well preserved. And like you said, he did very well in the last election, having regard to the 30-something% that he made. But you see, at the time that we're going through that primaries, 2023, some of the comments that had come from even Honorable Kennedy Japan at the time was to the effect that the party had already lost the election way back in 2022. And I think most of us will agree to that assessment, that things became very difficult in 2022. So just like some of you have said, it was just a matter of time for us to see the full extent of some of the challenges that we had gone through as a country. And some of us believe that if the election had been held much, much earlier, we probably would have performed worse than we did. But as it is, the reality was that on the 7th of January, Ghanaians gave their verdicts. President Mahama, 6,515,000. His Excellency John Dramani, 4.7 or so million. That's about 41.06%. But we have to look at it also from the point of view that elections have been held in this country before. This is not the first time. In 2012, President Mahama garnered 5,566,221, 50.49%. Akufo-Addo got 5,287,538, 47.9, approximately 48%. Now, in the next election, 2016, as incumbent president, Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, he manifested executive powers. He controlled everything. He controlled policy, appointments, and everything. President Mahama went into that election and lost almost 1 million votes as the president of the republic. So when things became difficult, doing so was a challenge, some corruption issues were challenges, to change the direction of the government at the time. He did to the best of his ability, but he still lost by almost 1 million votes, largely in charge. Now, the next election, which is 2020, he recovered and did what? And got 6.2 million of the valid votes cast, increasing his vote by about 1.7 million votes, 0.7 million votes, and increasing by just about 100 or 200,000 in the last election. Now you take Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, 2012, 5.28. 2016, he won the election 53.8%, 5,551 votes. That's about almost 270,000 votes that he got in addition to what he got in 2020. Now, there are two things that you have to look at. And Dr. Tanko Rashid made a point about they presenting candidates more than once. J.E.A. Mills, John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency John Mills, and Nana Akufo-Addo, they even started out for a rerun in the 2008 elections. You understand? So, Dr. Bawumia's performance in the last election cannot necessarily be held against him because he had indicated in his manifesto, for instance, that he intended to do things that were different from what the government of the day was doing, our government. He had taken a position, for instance, that he was going to abolish e-levy, he was going to create, harmonize the tax system and have flat tax rate. He was going to introduce a number of policies which were quite significantly different from the government. You understand? So that tells you that if he had even become the president, he was going to toe a line that was completely different. Unlike President Mahama, if President Mahama was the president and e-levy was an issue, he would have changed course. I don't know whether you get the point I'm making. So if he was in the position to change things, it means that if he was the president, he probably would have changed those things, in the run-up to the elections. So really and truly, I'm not too sure we can also forget about the fact that the challenges that the government faced in the last administration were not just domestic issues. And lots of it were attributable for foreign, to foreign, pressures. Especially,
Basuli talks about the corruption also.
Especially the issue that had to do with COVID. We really didn't really recover from COVID well. And then in the course of the recovery, we had a challenge with the Russia-Ukraine war. And we have been saying it, for instance, that look, that war had serious impact on the economy to the extent that even the efforts in Tamale and Kumasi were delayed because they couldn't even get some, parts that they needed to be produced from Germany. Germany said they didn't have gas, natural gas, to be able to produce. So it had serious implications, on the performance of the government. Yes, issues of corruption came up. The president did his very best, to address some of them. But of course, they were not good enough. You are in the
Bawumia camp, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. But I do not...
I'm told that you are very scared, and you'll be surprised who I'm going to say you are scared about. Brian Echampo.
You see, Brian is my personal friend, okay? Brian is my personal friend. I've been telling him that he should try and then let's get him through the law school. He should finish law school, come and we practice before he would, undertake this presidential experiment. But you see, it gets to a point.
Law school, he has sufficient experience.
No. So as a leader. He is a leader. He has. In terms of academic achievements, Brian has it all. And one of the things that he has as one of his strengths is the fact that he doesn't stop learning. So it's a good attribute of a person. But the Bawumia camp believes that it is not his time yet. He should learn the ropes and then in good time. Because you see, the election in Ghana is not...
Are you confirming what Rashid Tanko Computer is talking about?
Exactly
what they are just seeking to, show face for the next.
I'm not in a position to confirm or deny what he's saying, but we know, for instance, that some people have gone into elections knowing very well that they will not even get 1% in this country. The likes of Dan Latte, his late Dan Latte, and so on and so forth. All these, with all due respect, some mushroom parties that have been formed.
But the likes of Brian is not the type.
No, Brian is not in that category. But I believe very strongly that the support that Brian gave to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia makes it difficult for him to compete against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and succeed. Because, you see, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been through the country over 5 times. There is no constituency that you go to and you will find Dr.
We have heard him. He said that.
Places.
Okay.
He's gone to all these places. He has a name recognition. Almost. You go to. In fact, there are some places that some of these aspirants would go to the first time, and they will not even know whether it's in the rainy season. This is the best time to go there, or this is the worst time to go there.
There are those. It's a difficult question to ask you. It's a difficult question to ask you because you are with the Bawumia campaign. Otherwise, there are those who are suggesting that the party should rather look between Brian and Educhum.
How?
For the party's future.
For the party's, what would be the reason for that position? What would be the reason for that position? You see, the MPP party is a party that when it decides in a certain direction, it's difficult for anybody to change its mind. And it's not just a few people who sit down to decide. Nationally, and I've been to the last 2 weeks, I've been to Upper West, Upper East, Northeast, Northern region. We're going to Oti region, we're going to Bono East region. There is an overwhelming support on the ground because everybody believes that, look, if you bring a new candidate, we are now coming to market the person. Children don't even know the name of the next person that you are bringing to, but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia almost everywhere.
Anyway.
So you see, there was issues that Dr. Tanko Computer has raised about religion, and tribal politics. I think that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has said it time and again that we should cease and desist from that kind of political rhetoric.
I think almost all the candidates are now saying that everybody should restrain and stop using intemperate language.
It is not healthy
Police
for
the and Deputy Ranking Member, Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee.
It's not healthy for the party.
Tanko Rashid Computer is Deputy National Director of Elections and IT, National Democratic Congress. Dr. Justice Youngson is lawyer and former General Secretary, Ghana Medical Association. Suleiman Ibrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. The three of us sitting here, we sat in law school together. Right. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. And Dr. Youngson will help.
Okay, so we are bringing to... Okay, so we are bringing today's live video to an end. Please do well to like, subscribe, and write whatever you think in the comment section. See you again in our next video.